So it begins with a layperson named Zenkai, who was somewhat prosperous. He got a job with a high official, moved to Edo, and then while he was working for this official, he fell in love with his wife. And right there begins this tale. So he fell in love with another man's wife, and they were discovered. Now, looking at this in the first place, the roots of this story begin with greed, begin with pleasure, begin with someone who feels, let's hopefully love, but turns it into possessiveness, turns it into I want. And whether it was simply they were sexually involved for a little bit of time or a longer time, who knows? But they were discovered. And they had to flee for their lives. They fled together. Now, they fled away from Edo, from the capital of Japan at that time, made another life somewhere else. But they had to support themselves. And so they didn't have any particular skills. They became thieves and began living off of other people, stealing from other people, betraying other people. And anyone who does that, anyone who begins to live with that foundation of greed, of disrespect, of lack of generosity, begins to turn them. They begin to change. They begin to water unhealthy parts of themselves. And so the story goes, the woman became very, very greedy, and Zenkai, the person who had married her, left. Now, the people in Edo, where he had originally worked, had been tracking him down all this time, and they found him. And he got into a fight with the former husband and killed him. And so now he was in Edo, he fled, he became a thief, and now he became a murderer. So he was a murderer, he was now alone, he had lost everything, and his heart was quite dark. Now, anyone who has experienced that kind of dark heart, that kind of depression, that kind of failure, that sense of shame or aloneness, it hurts. It hurts. So Zenkai, after a while, lived with this inner hurt for the kind of person he had become, what he had done. And he decided that he was going to do something to atone for the evil in his life. He was going to do something good after having done so much bad. Well, near the place that he was, there was a mountain. And there was a road that skirted the edge of the mountain and went across a very steep cliff. And it was very steep, and it was very small, and there had been many tragic accidents. One slip, and a person or a cart or something fell off. Many people were killed. So Zenkai decided, okay, what I can do to atone for the evil in my life is I will build a tunnel. I will dig a tunnel. Now, this means that he was digging a tunnel through the side of this mountain with a pick and shovel and digging bar and a wheelbarrow, maybe, if he had that. So he would beg food during the day, and then in the afternoon and evening, he would go and he would begin digging. And digging through the side of a mountain. You can imagine how much it probably was impossible to contemplate. And he did this for 30 years. So you're facing a mountain. It is inconceivable, so thick, so much stone. And he started working on it, and working on it, and working on it. 30 years. Begging for his food, digging, begging, digging, begging, digging. Think what that would do to someone's state of mind. He was not digging out of compulsion. He was not a convicted criminal. He was digging to atone. And after the 30 years, the tunnel was about 2,000 feet long, half a mile, 20 feet high and 30 feet wide. Just imagine that, 30 years of digging a tunnel to the side of a mountain, half a mile. Well, in this process, he obviously became a different person. In this process, he obviously became a very mature person. He became a person of dedication. He became a person of generosity. He became a person of steadiness. He became a person of wisdom. Well, 2 years before the tunnel was completed, the son of the official he killed found him. Now, the son had been looking for him for several years, obviously, maybe even 30, and he ran across him, and his whole search, this feverish search of his son, of the son of the man he murdered, was to kill Zenke. He found this guy, and he was going to kill him. And Zenke said, once he was confronted, he said, I will give you my life. You know, I have done a terrible thing. I killed your father. I give you my life. I offer you my life. But I'm almost finished with this project. Please, just sit and wait till I finish this project. And then I will freely offer myself to you to be killed. Son said, okay. And so he just sat around and started waiting to kill this guy. But Zenke kept digging, begging, digging, begging, digging. And the assassin, the one who was going to murder Zenke, got bored and said, let me see if I can hurry this thing along. I'll help you dig. Maybe together, if we're digging together, I can make this happen faster, more quickly. So together, they began digging. And no matter what the motivation was that began, they both began changing. Here they were working in harmony. They were working as bodhisattvas. They were working for the benefit of others. And 2 years together, the tunnel was complete. And you can imagine Zenke, after the tunnel was complete, putting down his pick and his shovel and saying, my work is done. I give you my life. And he stuck his head out and said, take my head. Whether that is good or bad or right or wrong, just to even have the possibility of regarding one's life as an act of generosity in that way is extraordinary. But the man who came to murder him had worked with him for 2 years. And when Zenke bowed to him, he said, I can't do this. How could I harm the person who has taught me so much? How could I harm the person who has been so kind to me? How could I harm the person who has shown me what a true bodhisattva spirit is? And he began crying. And you can imagine that deep bond between these two continued in a healthy, mutually supportive way. It takes years to become mature. You can't become a 60-year-old in less than 60 years. It takes years, but wherever we begin, wherever we start from, with the intention, with the step-by-step effort. 32 years. Each step changes us. Each step. Each step. And if it's a step of generosity, a step of kindness, then at the end of that time, we are different people. And something has come alive in us, which was not there before. So may each of us, all of us, take up this spirit of generosity and take whatever the first step is, whatever the first shovel full is, and offer that for the benefit of everyone.